Okay, buongiorno everybody, and welcome to another Monday coffee chat here on Adventures with Sarah. This has become my favorite format where I just basically call up my friends and I start talking to them because I have some interesting friends all over the world. So today I am being joined live from Palermo by my friend Alwine Federico. Buongiorno, Alwine.
Buongiorno, Sarah. It's so good to see you. I was really missing you.
I know I've been missing our hanging out and chatting. It's been too long. So for those of you that are out there who have been on the Sicily tour, you actually have been to Alwine's home. She lives at Palazzo Contessa Federico in Palermo, which is one of the most historic palaces in all of Palermo. And do you mind telling us just a little bit about yourself? Of course, I know you well, but if you can tell the people watching a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I just happened to come to live in a very special place, like life goes, falling in love, meeting this Sicilian guy. And then I came I'm Austrian origin, and I came to live in Palermo, so many years ago. It was, too many years ago, yeah. I was like a baby, and I started this big adventure and became part of this Sicilian nobility. And which was quite different. It took me a while to find out that I have to go my own way, but this is what I do now. Right now I'm a teacher, but I live like Contessa in a very beautiful palazzo. This is what I do.
You live like a Contessa, you are a Contessa.
Actually. But this is so easy for girls. Just get married to a count and then you're a countess. So yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the thing I think is so fun, is that you have such a fun attitude towards it. I mean, you live in a castle, basically.
I do, yeah.
You married a prince, basically.
Yes.
I mean, we're not joking about that when we say that. So you live in such an interesting location, and you bring people around for tours of your palace these days, and also being a teacher. And you were just telling me that schools actually have opened back up again in Palermo. So you just look for them.
It is sort of a test right now. So today it was my first day back in school after this almost 4 months of home teaching. And it was really weird because, you have your distance, you have your mask, and it's only for final examinations. And then we're supposed to start in September again. So we are just out of the lockdown, and I hope you're coming after us sooner. We have to restart living.
We do need to restart living. Yeah, I like being home, but this is a little bit too much being home. You, like me, we both have a lot of space to move around. That's at least nice, huh?
Yeah, what we did, because we have this big palazzo, but I'm, as you know, I'm very sport lady, and so I was not able to go out I'm a swimmer, and so what we did in the house, we opened all the doors, the staircases everywhere, and we did our running inside the house. So it was like, sort of a path through all the rooms. And actually, I should have filmed it. It looked romantic, but we were really hard working through all this history.
Okay, that is so you. I love it. And you also set up on your rooftop a rowing area. I remember you sent me a...
Yes. I found an old rowing machine of the 60s, and we had a look. It was Maserati, I think. Yeah, something really, very posh in the 60s. And it's all wood made, and it still works. So we do our turns rowing just in front of the cathedral, Palermo, just skyline and the rooftops, and nobody there. And wasn't it so weird you don't hear anything? No traffic, no cars, only the seagulls. Yeah.
Wow, I can't imagine, and especially in Palermo, that is such a busy and noisy neighborhood. Yeah. It was just silent.
Yeah, it was silent. And then, first time in my life, in all these years in Palermo, when I went out first, I could smell the sea. because Palermo is at the seaside. It's it's next to the water, but actually you don't realize it because all this traffic and people, and then we did a bit of a footing. We ran down towards the sea. This beautiful Corso Vittorio Emanuele. Nobody there, just me and Andreas, my son, and his girlfriend. And so we were running down there, nobody, and then you could smell the sea. This was really unique.
Wow. Yeah. What do you normally smell? I think if I'm thinking of what I smell there, I normally am smelling like fried arancini. For the
like arancini, yeah, this is my first thought. Definitely arancini. Don't we have? No, you have to say arancine. It's only Montalbano in Catania. He says arancini, but you know the story. In Palermo, we have arancine. They are female because much better.
Yeah, you know that I spend a lot of time around people from Catania, so I use arancini. I'm a little biased.
Yeah, but
inside.
Yeah, you do a little bit here and there. Yeah.
For those of you watching, you don't understand that there is a bit of a rivalry between Western Sicily and Eastern Sicily. Aleni lives in Western Sicily in Palermo, and then Eastern Sicily is where Catania is. And I spend a lot more time on the Eastern coast, so I'm a little more biased towards the Eastern ways than the Western ways. But Palermo, of course, is a fantastic city. So one of the things that you and I've talked about a lot that I think is interesting that people might want to hear about is that Palermo has undergone huge changes. It in the past was kind of a gritty city, and I remember the first time I went there about 10 years ago, it was a little bit intimidating, and now it's become really beautiful. And what are the changes that you've seen over the time that you've lived there?
I think the big changes are just about to arrive, because probably for all these years I was the only biker in Palermo, and now they I do publicity for bicycles, and now I'm in good company. So people start to use the bicycle. You're going to be surprised next. You're going to do a bicycle ride with me through the streets. Yeah. So it's going to change again. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So there's a lot of people are bicycle riding now, huh?
Yes, because it's also because of we try to reopen Sicily and Palermo, of course, in a green way. So they push bicycles, and when I first arrived, it was like a shame to ride a bicycle. People looked at me like, gosh, she's too poor to afford a car. So it was only me, and now it's not only me anymore.
So what was the city like when you first arrived? You arrived in the 1980s, right?
Pardon?
When did you arrive? In the 1980s, right?
It was in the 80s, yeah.
So what was Palermo?
It was darker. It was, I think, the city has changed, but also life for girls, for ladies have changed. Because when I arrived first, no woman was just supposed to be out by herself. Also during the day, not only in the evening. So you always had a gentleman next to you, and it was like, of course, it was like they opened the cars for you, and you was just treated like a very special principessa. And but it was also because you were supposed to be in company always, and never two friends like we do nowadays. We go out and have our aperitivo, but it was different. No way.
Well, that
and so I think
so recently. I mean, I think it seems to me like Sicilian culture was that way well into the 90s at the very least, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this new
it was like a shock for my husband when I started working, teaching, because he asked me, what for? Do you need this? Yes, of course I do. I need my own life and my own path and my own way. But it was sort of, weird for him. He was, what do you want to go to work and have a job for? What's the use? Yeah. And so now I think this has changed.
Yeah, and so when you met your husband, you're not from the nobility. You're like me. You're a normal person like me. And so when you moved to Palermo, what was a Contessa expected to do? What would have been your role if you had taken on the normal role?
Yeah, I was wondering myself, I was so young. So I just started, and I think I did a lot of mistakes. Contessa was, can you imagine me just staying at home and arranging flowers and
No.
something? Yeah.
So what you would have done, if you had kind of followed that role, you would have probably hosted dinner parties and things like that. I mean,
Yes,
what was
yes.
that job?
Yeah, recently I found a little book where I wrote down all the menus when I invited my husband's friend for dinner, because this was very important. Never offer them twice the same spaghetti, the same pasta. So you had to write it down, and just this was a job to see, yeah, just to receive, and yeah, I had to learn to cook and to arrange the table and do all the nice things. And it was sort of for me more like playing games in the beginning, but this is not what you feel like that really fills your existence. And so then little by little I got back into my body and my brain again.
Yeah, so you kind of redefined what that role is by being a more modern person.
Yeah.
Actually, I found out, see, I met you first, and then I started, going around and meeting a lot of other people in Palermo, and you're kind of well known amongst the sort of, nobility of Palermo as being a little bit of a renegade.
Yeah.
Somebody who does her own thing. And that's so cool because really it's actually worked out well for you, since, you were modern before. And in a sense, that whole lifestyle of the nobility of the past, they've had a really hard time modernizing. And a lot of those families are kind of falling apart because they can't modernize. So, I mean, a lot of
Yes.
you brought just naturally to your family. I mean, that's really coming back to benefit you right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough sometimes, because you have to change the rules also in the family structure. I have two sons, two boys. I met your sons, so they are just, my boys were not that modern, not just used to helping in the kitchen, in the household. They had to learn. So, but now I think they are proud themselves that they can do both ways. Also live in just normal society and mix up everywhere. So this is important, that you have to come along everywhere, wherever you go.
Yeah, and your family has been, as opposed to some of the families that were living off of the family fortunes and all of that. You have a very enterprising family. So you run tours of the palace. That's one of your businesses. And what other businesses are your sons running to try and keep the palace alive?
Yeah, this is now basically what they were doing before the lockdown. Now we see what's going on. But it was what I did. They a little bit continued, and it was a big surprise, because it was a big success just to walk through a castle, but doing it together with the people they live in there. Yeah, the little principe, if you want to say. Yeah, they're quite good looking, so the people like them, and in a way, yeah, it makes me feel good, because nobody did before, and so I brought some novelties into Palermo, and they seem to continue. So why not?
Well, and the thing that is, I think, hard for Americans maybe to understand is that your entrepreneurial spirit is not typical in Sicily. So the challenge that you have, it sounds very romantic to be a princess living in a palace, but what are some of the challenges of that? Because I know that it's not the way we see it in Disney movies.
Yeah, definitely. It is an old house. It's very expensive. It's complicated. It's not really cozy, because it's no heating, no air conditioning. This is why I was missing you so much this year, because we had the best ever, warmest winter and the nicest spring. And now we're in June, and it's not hot yet. So it's so wonderful right now. And you live in this big place, which is a little bit falling apart. So you have to to restore it, which is all very complicated since it's a national monument, it's a listed building. So it looks all very nice, but it's really difficult to maintain it. And this is why in Palermo, in the south of Italy, you can see so many ancient buildings just in ruins.
Yeah, because it's not just the upkeep, but it's the taxes, and it's the. I always love your story about the garbage bill.
Oh no, don't! Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, we haven't solved it yet. Yeah, it is you pay the garbage per footage extension square meter, and so it is really, really, really expensive. And nobody ever comes around the house to collect the garbage. So you just pay and that's it. Yeah.
You're paying for square footage, and there's only like what, 6 of you living in the palace, and yet you're paying the square footage.
No, it's 6 if you count the cats. It's 4 people and 2 cats.
And so you're paying the square footage for like an entire apartment complex for your garbage fees. So they're not like looking at what the size of your household is, they're just looking at the size of your building, which is just insane. And it was thousands and thousands and thousands of euros.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's a great idea to live in a palace and all of that, but it does not come easily or cheaply. So so you have such an enterprising spirit about that. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in Palermo now that the lockdown is lifting. I mean, what's open, what's closed? How do you think that this is going to recover?
I hope it will. It is today is the first day when they opened the borders inside Europe. So I hope people will start traveling. And Sicily was actually quite lucky because we don't have many infections, many cases. Recently, nothing. And so we were lucky, and we're going to see what's going on now in the next month. But I'm always very positive. It has to be better, and we have to survive, and people have to come back. It's such a beautiful country. And so let's hope that everything, tutto andrà bene, we say in Sicily, in Italy. Everything is going to be okay. Let's hope so. But of course, for Sicily, it's very important to have the tourists come back because we live on tourism. And so it's very challenging time now.
Yeah, well, and the thing that kind of breaks my heart is especially with the guidebook that Alfio and I wrote together. I mean, that project I was really hoping was going to be something that would kind of ignite tourism more in Sicily, because it really, for me, feels like the place that it's like an unseen part of Europe for most people. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the whole world. So I was hoping that would be the spark that would really light up tourism. And now, yet another hurdle, but I'm hoping that it'll restart. I've heard that there's some initiatives. Have you heard anything about that to try and bring tourism back to Sicily?
They try, but nothing moves right now. They, this is in Italy. They talk quite a lot and promise we're going to do this and that. But it's still very strange. You go out in the street, there's nobody outside. So the churches, the museums are still closed, and it gives you a very sad and strange feeling. So it's still all very raw, I can tell you, just on your skin. And let's hope for the next weeks. I think this is going to be very important to see people come back and have good feedback, and life has to restart. Everybody is shocked.
Yeah. And what's going on in the marketplace? Is Palermo market open again, or is that
can you imagine Palermo market locked down, closed? And incredible. This is always such a very real life people, just in crowds and shouting and just tasting the street food. And now little by little the Palermitans, they start to go back and buy their fish and vegetables on the market, little by little, but it's still very, very fresh and very step by step.
So the market's not open at all, or is it just a few stores?
No. It starts to reopen, but you always have to put is checking that it's not too crowded. And perhaps this is my personal feeling, because I see that the Sicilians, they just, they just go and they do, and they just take off their mask and start just sticking together like they used to do. But yeah, look, here's one of my cats. Just come here.
The palace cats. And I think I've given that one a few belly rubs before.
Yeah. So Ballarò starts opening up, and I think when you come back, like in a couple of weeks, everything is going to be fine and open and full of life again.
Well, I hope so, because it's sad to see that things have been shut down. So now you can move around the countryside and things like that. So are you going out hiking? Are you doing anything out in the countryside?
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. My swimming pool opened last week, so I'm back in the water and I'm feeling like reborn. So yes, and hiking in my bicycle and. But it is strange, because in the beginning it is like, you need to push yourself to start your life again. And this is what I'm trying to convince myself now. Let's go back and live. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you are going to be taking some little trips into the countryside from Palermo, what are your favorite places for people to go that maybe are not obvious? Because I know that you like to go to the coast and you have other places.
Yeah.
So where do you go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is first trip I plan to do with my husband, to go to Selinunte, Menfi. Have you ever been at Vittorio's in Menfi on the beach? No, a fish restaurant just right on the beach. And he's an old friend, Vittorio, an old friend of my husband's. And you just have this big, huge beach and the beautiful sea in front of you. And he has the best fish. So we said we are going to stay there overnight and eat the best fish in our lives. And then you go and walk through Selinunte. And this is our first trip we're going to have.
Selinunte, I think, actually is one of the most impressive sites in Sicily, and it's always almost abandoned. It's the largest archaeological zone in Europe, I believe, and it's all temples. So for those of you watching that have never heard about it, that is definitely on my list of places I want to take people in the future, because it's really incredible. So is Vittorio's, is that the one where you can actually swim and you can go and see the temples from the water?
Not the temples, but you go. It's not far off. Yeah. I'm going to show you where. I'm going to introduce you.
For sure. Yeah. So the thing about Sicily that, I mean, people will keep asking me, why do you keep going back to Sicily? Why do you keep going back to Italy? And the thing is that you don't really need to ever leave the island to have any kind of experience you want. I mean, you can go to the top of the mountain if you want to and see winter, or you can go and lay on a beach the same day. So you kind of have everything. And you're more of an outdoorsy person than I am, more of a hiker. Like, what kind of hiking do you like to do around there?
Oh, hiking is beautiful. Not so many Sicilians do, but there's a lot of beautiful places. Also on the small island, like when I go to Pantelleria, and so you have the sea next to the mountains. This is really special. And all these trails you can go, and also next to Palermo, many places like Corleone around. There's a Bosco della Ficuzza. Do you know this? Beautiful places, lots of hiking and mushrooms and fall and how do you call this? The wild pigs just racing just around in front of you there.
Yeah. Wild boar.
Yeah. So it's really nature. It's nice. It's wild. And there are many places around. And so this is the old donkey tracks. You can go hiking, and you won't meet anybody, because they built these or rediscovered these for the tourists, because Sicilians are lazy. They go, they go to the beach and have their tent on the beach. You know this. They don't even go swimming. The old grandmother is sitting under the tent, and they have pasta al forno, and they have their big meals just in the beach. That's what they do. And we are the crazy ones. Yeah, we run and swim and hike around. So it's not this.
I remember last year when I was on vacation, right before we came to see you, we were in Puglia, and we just stopped to take a quick dip in the water because it was really hot. And the kids went out, and Nico went out in the water, and Luca and I were sitting on the beach, but we didn't have towels or umbrellas or food or anything because we were just I thought just for a few minutes. And one of these old nonnas, she adopted us and let us sit under their umbrella, and they had all this food, and it was funny. It was like a picnic on the beach. I don't think they actually were going in the water.
No. Often they're not able to swim, which is dangerous also, yeah. But then they won't touch the water because they are so really severe. Like 3 hours after your lunch, you're not allowed to go swimming. I always did in my whole life. But here in Sicily, no, take care, don't go. And so they just go there and have their nice Sicilian picnic on the beach. Yeah.
Maybe I've never told you this story before, but this was one of the funniest things that ever happened traveling with Italians. I went to Yellowstone with 25 Italians. This was when the kids were little. And we were with my friend Lisa Anderson and her family. And the kids, I think Nico was about 2 or 3. And of course, going to Yellowstone with 25 Italians, they brought this huge spread of picnic food. It was like the proper Italian lunch. So my kids eat, and then there's a stream, and they just wanted to go wade in the stream because it was hot, wanted to wade up to their ankles. And so they go out and they wade after they've eaten one sandwich. And all of the Italian women were standing around the table going, oh my gosh, can you believe she let her kids go in the water? That's just terrible.
Yeah. Bad mother you are, and so was I. Yeah.
So that brings me to something that I just love. This is a topic I love talking about with you, and I was hoping you'd tell us some stories about faux pas, like the things that you didn't realize were not culturally appropriate in Sicily. I mean, I know I've got a lot of stories like that, but what are the times that you've had those cultural miscommunications in Sicily?
Yeah, many of them. Just to start with, when I met my husband, it was in the early 80s, and we went to the beach in topless, didn't you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he was so shocked. Gosh, he almost broke up with me.
They didn't do topless bathing? They didn't do topless bathing in Sicily? Really?
No. There was this was crazy, on Pantelleria, the mayor of the island, there was a sort of a law about tourists in topless, because Sicilians, no way they didn't, but about the tourists there were, it was so funny, it was written in Sicilian, so it depended on the shape of your breasts, if you were allowed or not allowed to go topless. If it was like melanzani shape, no way.
Wow. Huh.
And it was like flyers on the beach, so you had the rules.
Wow, that's a great cultural miscommunication. I just wanted to clarify that I never would have gone topless in the US, but when I was a backpacker in my 20s traveling around, like when I'd go to the beach in France, everybody was topless.
In France, everybody did, yes.
Yeah, and if you didn't, you felt weird. So, I mean, I did that in Spain and France and anywhere else where it was just like, okay, well, this is the custom, so you just follow the custom. But I didn't know in Sicily that wasn't allowed. Huh. Wow.
Yeah, this is when I found out that Sicily was not La Côte d'Azur.
Even if the beaches may actually be nicer in Sicily. So it's a little...
Yes.
Huh. All right, so tell me some other ones. What other cultural faux pas or miscommunications have you had?
Yeah, like I told you in the beginning, then I found out that they had to behave and to adapt, and it was every day it was complicated, because then my husband he is and he was Sicilian, very jealous, so we had always rows with when bus passed, and the people said hello, and I did like this, and he didn't talk for me like for a week. He didn't talk with me because I was not behaving. So for me, it was really complicated to learn how to behave. You were not supposed to shake hands with his employees in the country. No, actually, they first, when he introduced me, they had to shake hands just to introduce themselves, and it was right in the heart of Sicily, and it was very hot in the summer. So there was no water around. You know, Sicily is really dry, especially just in the center in the summer. So they were a bit just embarrassed, the new Contessa. And so they wanted to wash their hands. No water around, so they washed their hands with wine. So this was one of them. And then they could just shake hands, yeah.
Wow, that had to be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
So in a way, when you moved from Austria to Sicily, it wasn't like relocating in space, it was more like relocating in time, wasn't it?
Yes, in a way. Yeah, and also for my parents, you know, it was like, for them, it was also a shock in the beginning when I told them that I had my scholarship, I was in China, and then I came back and left university and all this, and I told them that I was getting married to Sicilian gentleman, and they were really scared because what do you just suppose Sicilians look like? They're like tiny big mustache and the Sicilian coppola and things like that. And then he turned out to be half Norman, and they felt a bit safer, but they were really wondering. They asked me, are you sure that he's able just to support you and to what he is he living on? And I was not really sure, because what did he do? And I couldn't see him working. He went to country estates and they had his vineyards, but actually, he lived like a lord, yeah. And this is what my sons, when they had to write at school, you know, when the kids, when they're small, they usually they have to just write what are your parents doing and their jobs, and what does your room and your family home look like. And they were always so embarrassed because it was all different. So Nicholas, my first one, he wrote, when I grow up, I want to do what my father does, getting up late in the morning, just going for car races, enjoying himself, and then just collecting the money under the door. Because this is what the people, he had houses rent, apartments rent, and so they just let the rent under the door. And so Nicholas, my son, thought this was a good job. So,
so that, I mean, I actually have never even thought to ask you about that. So when you met Alessandro, his job was basically a lord. So he was collecting rent and things from the various properties that his family
what my parents wanted to know. And so I also told him, what does he do during his day? Getting up late in the morning and having this nice breakfast served in this beautiful palazzo, and then taking his big motorbike. And first he took me with him in the beginning. So I was just sitting behind him on the motorbike, and we just rode through the city, rum. And then he stopped in places. And people saw him approaching, and they got really pale in their faces. And they said, I'm so sorry, we don't have the money yet. We don't have any money. And then in a way, I almost thought he was just walking around like mafia and you know, the protection money. But he was just trying to collect the rent. And so how do you explain this to your mother?
Especially when they're suspicious about you marrying a Sicilian to start with. So more or less, he's was a landlord, which is, you know, a perfectly reasonable job. So, but
yes,
is that still,
yes.
Is that still how things work, or you guys don't have many properties anymore, do you?
We sold most of our vineyards just in order to restore the house and to restore the roof. It was leaking, and just whatever you need to do. And so no more vineyards or only a little piece. And this is where we have the wine we drink usually when we come here from Corleone. Yeah. And then our olives, we do our own olive oil, but not so much. It's not like that you can live on this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then the income now, I think this is such an interesting thing because I know a lot of people maybe have watched Downton Abbey, and I always think about Downton Abbey. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but I think about you when I watch that show because that I think is just the real life practical example of what happens when society changes and these noble houses don't have the income feeding in anymore. So your family's gotten really creative. Can you tell people a little bit about the activities that you guys do to support the palace now?
Yeah, it just it started just like this. It happened. So many things happen in my life, but I started to have visitors and just talking about my everyday life, which is different from what you think, and then people seem to enjoy this. So I'm sharing my life in a way, and this is a way to help the palazzo to survive, to go on, because the palazzo is actually quite interesting. You know this, but we have all the history of Palermo inside the building. So we have this tower, which is from the 12th century, Arab Norman style, which is unique. So there are all these different layers of history inside the building. You can just talk and explain the Palermo through our building. So in a way, this is what I do.
Yeah, it's true. You are living history too, because your sons are the continuation of a family line that's over 1,000 years old because they're descendants of the Holy Roman Emperor. So I mean, it is living history. So you've got the tours that you're doing, and are you going to carry those on in the future? Still doing the daily tours?
Pardon, I didn't.
The tours of the palace that you started doing last year, the daily tours. Are you going to keep doing that?
Yeah. As soon as people come back to Sicily, of course. Yeah, we this is what my sons do. Yeah, the daily tours, just to open the house and have just whomever wants to share a little of the past and of our present. So this is what we do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you also added, somebody had asked actually in the comments here if you have any way that people can actually stay with you, and you do have the B&B. Is that going to be up and running?
Yes.
Once the lockdown's lifted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we restored a part of the house, but these are nice B&B, so they have air conditioning. I don't, but my guests, they do. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
This is.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. I know it's a project that's been in the works for a really long time. So now you do have it available. So if people come to Palermo, they can actually stay in a part of your palace, which is very cool.
Yes, they can stay with us, and Mm-hmm.
How many rooms?
So this is the.
I think you have what?
It's 7 apartments. Yeah, also for families and apartments. Yeah, yes, my cat. This is the time this is when she comes, my kitty, and it's almost dinner time, so they come and fetch me.
Yeah, so when things get better, then people can all come and visit you, and they can stay in your palace. They can go for a tour of the palace.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so glad that that's all working out. So, so what else is going on? Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to these days. Are you singing? You're a very well-known singer, obviously.
Yes, I restarted to sing. I must tell you the truth. When we had all this, it was like a tsunami. It was really, such a shock. And for about the first month when we just had this lockdown, I couldn't sing. And this, I was really scared because you know how much I love singing. This is just part of me. But it felt so not real. So I wasn't able to sing. But now I restarted. So I'm singing again. Yeah, and my voice is still there.
Good. So are you practicing with your group like online, or are you singing on your own?
No, I sing to myself. Yeah, and I sing all the beautiful songs I used to sing when I was a girl, and I started with Mozart and Schubert, so this is my roots and my music, and I'm reconquering my music and my past, my origin. So this is what I'm doing in these days, but gives me such a good feeling, I can tell you.
And that's how you met Alessandra to begin with, for the people who are watching out there. I mean, you met at an event because you were singing. That's right? If I remember correctly.
Oh, no, I met him when we were dancing.
Oh, dancing.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, but singing, I grew up in Salzburg, so this is just classical music. I'm really crazy about it. I'm not a very good singer. I'm a trained soprano, but yeah, as long as people don't complain, I also sing for them. No, this is how I decided that I would get married to Alessandro, because I asked him, yeah, there was a Wagner opera, a very long one, Parsifal, 5 hours. And I told him, yeah, I'm going to see Parsifal in the opera. And he used to fall asleep in the movies already for 2 hours. So I took him for 5 hours in Vienna Opera to see Parsifal. And he didn't fall asleep. So this is when I said, okay, I can get married to him.
Well, that's good that he likes doing that. He likes to do car racing too. How is he doing? Is he still going to be doing his car racing, or is he giving that up?
Yeah, now he's waiting for his hip surgery, which was delayed. Poor him. He was scheduled on the 17th of March, and we had our lockdown on the 8th of March. But since the 17th is the 13th, Friday the 17th is was, so this was a bad date, so it couldn't have happened. And now
the last time I talked to you, I remember you said he was going to go and have that surgery, so that got canceled. Oh, that's too bad. So he's got to kick that back a while, huh?
Yeah, and now we're waiting to have our hospitals, just regular life coming back, and this first thing he's going to do, and then of course he's going to go back to car racing, but without me.
Well, and to explain, the kind of car racing he does is not regular car racing. So it's these old cars from like the 1920s, right?
Yeah, but they look like toy cars, but he loves speed. And I'm so scared sitting in this tiny car. Now he races with a car from 35. Yeah, vintage, yeah. But it goes so fast, and he goes so fast. So yeah, not with me.
I still can't believe that he does that. I mean, he doesn't seem to me to be the kind of person that would be into that. He seems very, very calm and very reserved. And just the idea that he likes to drive super fast, I don't know. I find it surprising. So
then he changes completely. Then the tiger comes out. In the cup.
When was the last time he did one of those races? What was it, like year before last?
Yes, I guess. Yeah, it was. Almost 2 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they go everywhere. They go in Africa. They go in Europe.
Yes, wherever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just really fast. So this kind of old-fashioned car racing that he does started off in Sicily with the Florio family races, and now they do everywhere, these vintage kind of cars. That's just crazy.
It was the first car race of the world in 1907. It was organized by Vincenzo Florio and my husband's grandfather, the famous Targa Florio. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that speaks a lot to what people don't maybe understand about Sicily, which is that it was a very prosperous place, even, 150 years ago, in the 19th century and at the turn of the century. I mean, if they had the first car race, that tells you that there were people who lived in Sicily with a lot of money. So it's a little bit of a misconception, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, in this period, it was the richest part of Italy. The reign of the two Sicilies was called the Bourbons, and you must imagine it was around 1900 when the Tsar of Russia came to visit Sicily, and how do you call it, Tsarina, the wife of the Tsar? How do you call it? Is it Tsarina in English?
I think so, yeah.
The Empress, the Russian Empress. She felt ashamed because her jewels were not as beautiful as the ones of the wife of Vincenzo Florio, the famous Donna Franca Florio. Yeah, she has the most beautiful jewels of the world.
Wow. Yeah, well, and that's part of the reason that, I mean, when people come to Sicily, I think they're very surprised because it's almost like a hidden place. They don't realize that there is a lot of beauty and art, especially from that time period in Palermo, like all the different villas and things like that. So it's something spectacular. So what else? So what else? Tell me what else is going on. We got a few more minutes. I would just love to know what you're up to these days. How are you spending your time, and what are you going to do with your summer?
I wait and see. I would love to go to Austria, but we'll see if, I'll decide in the next weeks because it's, as I told you today, they open all the borders and inside Europe. So, yeah, I would love to go back and see my family. My mother, she turned 87 a week ago. And she's planning her 90th birthday, all of us up in the mountains on a glacier. She wants to go, and she invites her whole family. So I have to train to work out to come after her because she's really, really fit. And so this is what we do.
I love all the stories you told me about your mom. She sounds like a character.
Yes, she is. She's definitely a boss. Yeah.
Well, you're just the Mediterranean version of your mom, I think, right?
Yeah, in a way, this is when my boys are really angry with me. My sons, they say, "Yeah, I'm going to be like your mother," and it's not a compliment, I think.
I remember the story you told me once about how your mom went missing, and because she's older, you guys were worried about her. And then
and then she was just sleeping in the mountains, sleeping well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when like 10 years ago, she was around 70. She phoned me and said, "Oh, Helene, I want to come and visit you from Salzburg, from Austria to Sicily. It's like about 2,000 kilometers." And I said, "Nice. When do you arrive?" And she said, "I don't know yet. I start tomorrow." And she came by bicycle. Yeah.
Wait, what?
It took her about by bicycle, yeah.
She came to Sicily from Austria by bicycle?
Yes, and she had one big problem when she passed the Alps. It was in springtime, and it was a bit cold up there in the mountains. And then she said she couldn't drink because the water in her bottle froze. But then when she came down towards Italy, it was better. It took her about 2 weeks.
That does not sound like that could be a real story. How old was she?
It is.
How old was she at the time?
She was, I think, about 70, almost 70. Yeah. Yeah, she told me, "I don't know when I arrive. I start tomorrow." And it was 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've always thought that you need to write an autobiography, but maybe you also need to write a book about your mom.
Yeah. And she used to sleep well. And I said, "No, we are worried, and take care." And she said, "No, I'm an old granny. Nobody is just taking care of me, just looking after me, and I go." Mm-hmm.
Wow, your mom sounds incredible.
Yeah, and she never had a cell phone because she doesn't like this. So we are not able to get in touch with her when she gets off.
Wow, she just does her own thing. What an independent woman. Huh, that's so weird. I would have never expected your mother to be like that. The apple does not fall far from the tree, I think is what they say. Do they have like that?
But I would like to become to be like her in her age, because she gets up every morning and she tells me, "Yeah, it's so sad that it's going to be over soon. Every day is so beautiful." She loves her life, and isn't this so wonderful?
It is. And, you know, I think you do have that attitude. And I have that attitude to an extent too, which is even especially at times like this where life is maybe not perfect. You know what?
Yeah,
We're still here and every day has the potential to be beautiful, you know?
yeah, yeah,
I think that
yeah. This is what I feel. Mhm.
that's what I think I love about your spirit in Sicily is that that's not exactly the Sicilian attitude.
Mhm.
So you have
No.
an interesting, like you're such sunshine in a culture that maybe is a little bit more pessimistic.
Yes, I tried. Now, as I told you, I'm getting back into myself. It was a real weird period, these 3 months. It was really crazy. Yeah. I had to run through all the house because otherwise it would have got crazy. Yeah, all closed inside, just never get out of the house. The shopping, and Andreas, my son, did because since we were waiting for my husband's surgery, so I really wanted to take care. So never go out of the house is crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
knowing me, but I ran a lot up and down, all in these beautiful rooms, up and down.
I'm just imagining that. That just sounds actually. It sounds about right for you, but also very funny at the same time. So.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, my friends. So I think we are just about out of time. So I just wanted to thank you so much for joining me this morning for our morning chat. And it's so nice to see you. And it's killing me because I really want to be there hanging out with you and going out for our aperitivo and chatting. So next time I come, we'll
You know what?
what?
I'm waiting for you. I won't leave and go to Austria before you have come. So this is a promise. You must come as soon as possible.
I will be on the first plane to Sicily. Believe me, I'm going to be on my way as soon as I possibly can. And I hope we get to go biking or go out for a nice country walk. There's so many nice things to do around there.
Yes, will do.
Well, enjoy beautiful Palermo
Great.
for me. Send my love to Palermo and to everybody there. I miss it so much. So it's nice to get a little piece of that today. So let's try and have a virtual happy hour, you and I, one day soon. Okay, we'll have a spritz virtually.
A spritz. Yeah, this is ours.
All right, my dear.
Okay.
I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. And goodbye to everybody out there that's been watching. Later this week, a couple of other things happening. We have on Friday, my friend Colin Mayer is joining us from New Zealand, and we're going to take a walk through Auckland. So thanks for joining us on Adventures with Sarah. We'll see you again soon. And thank you to Alwine in Palermo. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.